We got a question from Jake today about letting a convicted felon train at his gym. So it's a longer question, but I'm going to break this sucker down into chunks and then we'll jump into it. So Jake is living in a rural area. I always have trouble saying that word. And there's not a lot of training options available. So what he did is he got together with some people and they have this little space that they rent out like once a week or something like that. They do a little open mat session, exchange some techniques, that kind of thing, and they hang out. Recently, one of his friends brought in this guy who has a felony on his record. He's a convicted felon. Now, Jake doesn't know what the felony is, but he knows that there's something on his record. He says that the guy's a little rough around the edges, hasn't caused any issues, but he's a little rough around the edges, and when the guy rolls, man, he's super intense. He tries to crank everything. It's like, life and death struggle every time he rolls. Now, when it boils down to it, Jake, I can just tell, you're a little uncomfortable with the situation, and so he asks, I'm curious if you have any advice on the subject, and would you allow a previously convicted felon to train at your gym? So, Jake, thank you for the question, brother, and I'll say it straight up like this. I have some guys in my gym that are convicted felons or have, gone to prison for certain things and had come out and have started to train here. I'll talk about when I would draw the line and when I would say no, but these guys in particular, a lot of it was dumb decisions when they were kids. Young guys, 18, 19 years old, they became a product of their environment. They did dumb stuff, dumb shit, and they don't want to go that direction anymore. And when they came in here, there was a sincerity about that they didn't want to go back to that. Like one of the guys I'm thinking about moved here to Louisville to get away from it. This is years ago, right? He moved away from his home, moved to a place to get away from all the people that he was surrounded with when he got out of prison. So these guys come in here. And each one of these guys, if you talk to them, would tell you the same thing. They all say the same thing to me, which makes me really happy. That the people that they've been around in the gym, the training environment, the whole thing has been positive to them. It's pulled them in a positive direction. They're surrounded by people that are pulling them up rather than focusing on tearing them down. They've been exposed to people from all walks of life, some in really good places, and that kind of rubs off on you a little bit. Humans we become products of our environment. So if you're around good people, guys that are out there doing things, guys that are trying to be good fathers, guys that are trying to run businesses, guys that are trying to do good by themselves and others around them, it rubs off on you. And so they've changed dramatically as people coming in here, as well as their training's gotten better. And I have a soft spot for this a little bit because I grew up in a rough neighborhood. I was lucky to have good family, and I had a lot of people from different walks of life that could expose me to stuff. And jiu-jitsu, I'll say right now, if it wasn't for the people that I've met in jiu-jitsu, I just don't know where I would be because there were so many good dudes. Like I remember my friend of mine, Al, who's a real estate investor, owns a couple businesses, with Jim, owned a gym, and all these different guys that I got surrounded by, and they would take the time out to show me different things that I would have never seen otherwise. And so it had a huge impact on my life. Now, when those guys came in, one thing I noticed about all of them is that, again, sometimes a little rougher on the edges, not always, but when they would roll, it was intense, really intense. And I thought about this when you asked this question. When experiences happen to us, we obviously have a memory of them, but a lot of that also gets wired into our body. You know what I mean? So it's not just something you remember, it's something that gets wired into your nervous system. And you think about, was some of these guys went to prison for a number of years. That's a dog-eat-dog world, man. One of the guys in particular, he was smaller. He was a little bit smaller, 150, 100 whatever pounds. Small dude in prison, trying to in his own words, trying to keep his food from Big Bubba. Trying to keep his food away from him. So there's going to be, even when you get out of that, it's not going to instantly leave. Yes, you understand you're no longer in that situation, but your body doesn't necessarily feel that, And so when they get on the mat, all of a sudden they're rolling and it comes out. And I've seen this happen a number of times in jiu-jitsu where people come in and they're nice and relaxed and chill. What's up, man? Hey, bro, what's up? And then as soon as you start rolling with them, rigidity in their body, explosiveness and aggression. It's whoa, there's someone else here. There's someone that's out here super relaxed and chill, and there's someone else that's rolling. It's weird. And so a lot of those guys come from that dog-eat-dog world, man, and it's going to take some guidance and some time for their bodies to relax because obviously they feel like, they have to fight to survive. That's what their body's just wired to do. Now, I'll talk about something you can do to help facilitate this process at the end. The other side to it, though, is that, yes, I have told people that they can't train here because of what they did previously. And where I draw the line a lot of times is there was one guy came in, he was like, hey, he let me know I'm a convicted child molester. And then there was another guy, we did the search, on our computer, found out the guy was a convicted child molester. You're out. sorry, man. Everybody has their line to draw. That's mine. It's not that they may be great people. I don't know. But for me personally, with my own sort of moral compass, I'm just not okay with that. I'm not okay with you as like a child molester or murderer or something like that. So I'm like, no, you got to go. So you have to figure out for you, where is the line? Where are you going to draw the line as far as, we're going to allow this person to train here, or we're not going to allow this person to train. You got to figure out what it is. So you got to figure out what they did. And then you're going to have to give them some guidance on how to relax a little bit and lose some of that tension that's been built up to them while they've been out in these terrible situations and environments. One of the things that I've done with the students, and this helps a lot of guys that really have that I have to win, like kill or be killed mentality, is I'll put them in a situation where they cannot win. So for instance, I will say, all right, I'm going to put you on your back, and the person is going to be on top, and they're going to pass your guard, and you can try to stop them, but you cannot submit them, you cannot sweep. So basically you're all defense, and you're eventually going to get your guard passed. Or I'll say, okay, the person's going to be in side control, and you can defend, but you can't escape, and they're eventually going to submit you. And I do this because it like breaks people. You know what I mean? Because people a lot of times have this terrible fear or weird sort of hang up on being submitted or being caught. And this happens even more so with those situations where it's like, life and death, survive, or, whatever. And when you do this to them, it gets them to be like, oh, well, I got submitted. It ain't that big of a deal. And you can blame it on me as the coach. I'll tell them a lot of times, like, listen, guys, if you get submitted today, blame Chewy. It's my fault because I'm making you do this drill. But the cool thing about it is it allows them to come to grips with like getting submitted and being like, oh, okay, no big deal. Let's get better. And that crosses over when they train later on as well. So talk to them, figure out what's going on. And as far as like a training thing, that little tip there, put them in some situation, like a defensive position where they cannot sweep, can't submit, they can't mount offense, and sort of break them a little bit in that situation so then they can relax a little bit and they can actually learn rather than only fighting constantly to survive. So Jake, thanks for the question, brother. And I'll talk to you guys next time.